Hey, oh my goodness. I was so busy looking down at the live. I didn't even realize that we were here, but welcome. Oh, I'm sorry. I just got excited. Welcome and welcome back, Butterfly and Emerging Butterfly. I'm so happy and excited to have you guys here today. I have an amazing show for us today. Our little 30 minutes, it's going to go by really fast, but it's going to be so inspirational and impactful. You're going to get a lot of knowledge and information. I'm trying to make my intro really short this week because, like I said, I have an amazing show. 2 guests, not 1, but 2. It is Mother's Day weekend coming up on Sunday. So what better way to celebrate than to celebrate with mothers and children of mothers, right? We are still talking about drug use and the effects of that and how we get to that place of drug use, why we're using it. So without further ado, I'm just going to go ahead and jump into it. I have Miss Peggy Kendall, right? Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here, Miss Peggy. And guest number 2 is none other than Miss Penney. Miss Penney, who is obviously, she is the child representing the children of mothers who were drug users or are drug users. And yes, my beautiful Miss Peggy is
a mother and a grandmother.
A mother and a grandmother and a current user.
Correct.
Actually, my Penney is also a current user. Yes, we are not justifying or clarifying anything, but I have 2 users, a mother, a grandmother, all of the above. So like I said, this is about to get real interesting, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and jump in. First off, Miss Peggy.
Mm-hmm.
You currently use substances. What are the current substances that you use?
How far back would you like me to go? Like in the 60s?
Honey, I want you to tell it all. So you tell me what you used. Just tell me what you used really quick. Don't go into details too much. Just tell me what you used.
Primarily marijuana.
Primarily. But you have used...
I came of age in the 60s. So let's go back there when Quaaludes... LSD.
I'm going to need you to explain what a Quaalude is.
Yeah, me too.
Everybody doesn't know what a Quaalude is.
How can you not know?
Well, from my perspective, no.
Okay. A Quaalude, I'm not real sure what it consists of as far as
Tony Montana said it. Another Quaalude? She let me in the morning.
In my case, it was a pill. Okay.
Right.
It was in pill form.
Mm-hmm.
And I took it with a bunch of girlfriends, and we had met some guys at a bar, and they said, come on back to the hotel room. Is it an upper
or a downer?
It is a sexual enhancer.
So like a Molly?
I've never done a Molly, but this was back in the 60s when it was abundant,
So was that
drugs were abundant.
Like the precursor going into an orgy that you were going to have?
It wasn't planned that way.
But it ended up that way.
Well, the Quaalude
it's a hell of a drug.
It's kind of known for that back then in the 50s, yeah.
So that's what we ended up doing. Okay, so we got Quaaludes, we have marijuana. Is there cocaine, dope, anything? No?
Coke in the 60s, certainly.
There's a difference between Coke and crack. Just so you know, crack is cooked. Coke is not. It is a powder form, and you usually sniff it. Continue.
Okay. I had a blind date one time with my girlfriend. Her name was also Peggy, and the 2 of us went out. And that was back in the late 60s. And they handed me a little sugar cube with a little red pinkish stain on it and said, here, take this. And I'm like... what is it? And they said, it's Agent Orange. Agent Orange.
Agent Orange.
Agent
So if you ever hear that, don't take it.
It was LSD, which was really big back in the 60s and 70s.
And LSD makes you hallucinate?
Well, with me, it put me on a journey that I ended up saying, if I ever get out of this alive and with a brain, I will never do it again. And
Did
I'm
you
here
do it
today.
again?
No way.
I'm glad you kept your word to yourself.
Oh, yeah.
That's really
yeah,
important.
It was not pleasant.
Nice.
Magic mushrooms were not pleasant either.
Okay, magic mushrooms.
Yeah, but I've tried those recently, and it was just as unpleasant as it was back in the 60s.
So stay away from the magic mushrooms. I'm going to jump over to Miss Penney because I want to know you.
I love mushrooms.
You love mushrooms? See, you said it was only marijuana. The truth comes out.
But yeah, no, I primarily
marijuana, mushrooms. Have you used anything else?
Nope.
Don't lie to me.
No.
Don't lie to me. Not today. Not here on this show. This is an uncomfortable conversation, and we're going to be honest with ourselves as we take this journey together.
Okay.
So I need you to be.
Spill it.
You got to be honest with yourself. Peggy gave the business.
She gave the business. All right. I tried Molly before.
Okay.
It was fun.
See? No harm, no foul. And it's okay. Guess what? Everybody's tried something. I don't do drugs. I've tried edibles before. See? Don't you feel better now?
No.
I've smoked before. I don't like smoking. It's not my thing. I don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
So there we go. Now, you're a mom. What was that like? Because you said in the 60s and the 70s, and I happen to know who your daughter is and your grandchildren.
You do?
So, yeah, just, small world here in Vegas.
Yeah.
So what was that like being a mom and being on drugs, for lack of a better word?
I was very strict with myself as far as never being stoned when I was with my children.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to have an emergency that I could not handle.
Okay.
And so most of my indulging in the various drugs I did back then happened when my kids were away or I was away from home, which was quite often because I had them when I was 18 and 20, and they were not my priority.
Who had your children? Where were your children then?
I was out partying a lot. And so I pawned them off on various people at work who wanted me to go out with them. And
wait a minute. Okay. Various people at work. So when you say various people at work that wanted you to go out with them, how did you guys all go out if they had the children?
We all put some money into the pot. And we hired a babysitter, and all of us who had kids would dump them in the same room and go out.
There is a babysitting pool.
Oh, you haven't heard the best.
Okay.
I have a babysitter for a dime. I would go into the bar.
A dime bag of...
A dime, a 10-cent piece. I would go into the bar, and in those days they had payphones. And one was on the ladies' room side and one was on the men's room side, right by the doors. And I'd put a dime in. I'd put Pam on this stool here, and she would call this number.
I think you shouldn't say names, but that's just what
my daughter, my oldest daughter, I would put a dime in her phone, and I would dial this phone number, and I'd put my other kid there. So the two sisters are on their respective stools, and they are on a payphone talking to each other, having the best time ever. I would go to the bar, finish up with Liar's Dice and a few shots of tequila while they talked on the phone for like an hour and thoroughly entertained themselves talking to each other. Look at the man coming into the men's room. He's
Holy
really
crap.
fat.
I ain't not never.
Yeah.
But you just said, wait a minute, I got to go back because you just said you didn't do this with the children present. And you just gave me a story where the children were actually in the bar with you and you were taking shots of tequila.
Different room.
So they didn't physically see you, but you had to get home with them. Were you not concerned about your children's welfare?
We were within walking distance. This was a neighborhood bar. I had it thoroughly thought out.
Yes.
Your mom indulged in
crystal meth.
And your father as well. I need you to get closer to the microphone.
Okay.
Don't be nervous, honey.
I'm nervous.
This is a safe space.
Yeah.
You know that. We talk, and this is okay. We're going to have this conversation.
I was not prepared for this, y'all.
No, she wasn't. I'm sorry. Disclaimer. I do that. Your mom.
Mm-hmm.
What was that like for you? Did it sound like the story that Peggy just told about her and her children? Please make sure you're talking to the mic.
Well, as far as her not being around a lot, yeah.
Okay.
But my mom very much, did drugs in the same house.
Where were you staying at?
In the same house.
So did you see your mom using?
We never saw her using per se. She would be in her room, but I mean, the evidence was there, just her behavior and people coming in and out of the house all hours of the night.
How did that affect you as a child growing up?
I think it made me numb to a lot of things.
When you say numb to a lot of things, can you just be a little bit more elaborate? Because, like I'm numb to certain foods. I don't want to indulge in them. So what do you mean when you say it made you numb?
I guess because of what I went through, a lot of it, I don't get affected very much. I don't allow things to affect me very much because I have taught myself how to maintain my emotions, I guess. So
to not get overwhelmed and overburdened.
Or to act like I don't see it.
To act like you don't see it. Interesting. Hearing that, Miss Peggy, how do you think your children perceived you in your times of being high? Do you think that it made them numb?
I really limited my use when I was around the kids, when I was face to face with them, when we sat down for meals. I don't know that they really ever saw me. Well, maybe they did. Oh, yeah, they did. I remember an incident. Anyway, I am the type of person, I have a personality that I love to socialize. I love to party. I was very young when I had the kids. And so that's the type of mother I was. Now, I can only tell you this, that my two daughters now are both in their 50s. They are both very successful women. They're strong. They're independent. They've never been arrested. They've never...
So do you think your drug use encouraged or supported
I must have done something right.
You did something right.
Okay.
And I have to agree in the sense that the majority of the people that I know, and I know a lot, just happen to know a lot by happenstance, that have used drugs, abused drugs, and been really far gone in their children have ended up being some of the most successful people that I know.
I never got to the point where I was out of control. I never got addicted. I never got to
You
the
don't
point.
think that you're addicted now?
Oh, no way.
So
no.
at
I'm
any
a
given time,
recreational user.
Yeah, and you feel like at any time you could just walk away from the marijuana or any of...
I could, but
you
I
don't
wouldn't want to. There's no reason for me to now. I'm a grandmother. I'm retired. My life is all about fun now. And
I get
no
it.
responsibilities.
That's what my life is at too.
Why not?
I'm having fun.
I wish the whole world were on marijuana, quite frankly. We'd have no more wars. People would be too stoned to shoot a gun, Honestly, I am an advocate of marijuana. It's very healthy, and it doesn't harm your liver like alcohol.
So I know people that have had adverse reactions to marijuana to the point where they have been hospitalized. Yeah. So I think it just responds differently to everybody's body in the way that you manage and maintain yourself. But Penny, you grew up in a household with parents, a mom specifically that was on meth, but you still chose to use drugs. Yes.
Yeah.
Why? Please share that. Because, I mean, you said it made you feel numb.
Yeah.
And you didn't like seeing your mom like that. I know you don't have children of your own. What's the difference between you and your mom, do you think?
That a lot. I would say that's a very interesting question. The difference between myself and my mom would be oh my God, that's such a deep question.
I mean, that's the thing you complained about, right? And you're disappointed in the choices that your mother made, but you're making some of those exact same choices, but still separating who you are from who your mom is.
Well, I'm also extremely responsible.
You don't think your mom thought she was responsible?
Well, my mom was on meth. That's not like you. It's easier to control yourself when you're smoking a joint or a blunt than when you're high off crystal meth. That's just a fact, you know.
How's I don't want to go into how's that a fact.
I've never done crystal meth, but I've seen the results. There's actually a poem, a really deep poem that talks about how it screws up your life and chews you up and spits you out. And
there's poems about a lot of things, but that doesn't make it fact-based. I would really like for you to share how you're different and your journey is going to be different from your mom's. Because maybe your mom started out on marijuana as well. Well,
my mom, she wasn't educated. She wasn't driven. You know, she let a lot of people walk all over her. So,
and you know this because you were how old when she was using and you saw it?
She used, from the time I could remember anything up until she died 10 years ago. I'm 34, so 24.
So did your mom die from drug use?
She was under the influence when she died, but no, she was murdered.
Do you think she was murdered that had anything to do with the drug use?
It was definitely something that contributed to her situation that, yeah. They did it together, you know.
When you say they, who is they?
The person who murdered her.
The person that murdered your mom was doing meth with her.
Mm-hmm.
And where's that person now? Do you know?
He's in prison, but he might get released soon.
How do you feel about that? Take your time.
No, it's just I'm really angry. Like what do you want me to say? I'm pissed off.
Say it. That's what I want you to do. I want you to say that. If that's how you feel, say it. It's okay.
Yeah, I'm very angry.
Share with us why you're angry.
What you mean? He murdered my mom. What the fuck? Like how you get 15 or 10 to 15 instead of 15 with an L after what he did to her? Like that's crazy to me. And so hopefully he don't get out, but I mean, you just don't know.
So do you think his drug use contributed to why he murdered your mom?
I wish I knew why. I think that's a question that I'll never know, you know? But yeah, they were both fucked up and on drugs and he murdered her.
You feel like if she wasn't on drugs, she wouldn't have been in that situation.
100%. My mom was actually clean for an X amount of years before she relapsed. And she relapsed because she was homeless. She lost her job during the recession, lost her place, was homeless, and met this guy, relapsed. And then within a year, 10 months, she had lost a whole bunch of weight, cut off her hair, disowned her kids, and was murdered.
Were you homeless with your mom?
Mm-mm.
No. Do you have siblings?
Mm-hmm. I'm one of 6.
One of 6. Were any of them with your mom during that time?
My younger brother, Derek.
And he is where now?
He's in San Diego, and he's probably definitely the most affected. He has the most trauma because he was with her like till
during
the very end.
Time.
Yeah, he saw her deteriorate, for lack of a better term.
Right. Miss Peggy, hearing Penny's story and knowing that you were out here and doing that and the effects that she has being that child of a mother that went through that, how does that make you feel sitting here knowing that now?
Well, when she said her mother was murdered, I damn near fell off my chair. I mean, that is horrific, and anybody who goes through that is
right.
Just it's inexplicable. But I couldn't help but wonder to myself, would I have been like your mother, Penny, if I didn't have kids during the time that I started in the 60s?
My mom had kids
drugs.
At a really young age also.
Yeah, and so, you know, I was left with the impression that if I had no kids, And back in the 60s when I was doing...
Did you start using before you had children, Peggy, or it was after you had children?
It was before.
Before. So you were using before you had the children.
But recreational, not every day, you know, just out partying.
Right.
But when I had the kids, something in my brain said, you know, you got a responsibility now and you better be sober and straight when you're raising your kids. And I think that's what kept me from maybe ending up really using in the sense of the word every day and become an addict. I probably could have done that.
If you didn't have the children.
If I didn't have the kids to ground me, because I love to party. It's just in my nature.
I know. She's a party girl.
So yeah, I think my kids grounded
they saved
me.
you.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel hearing that?
Angry, because my mom didn't make the same choice.
Yeah. Do you ever think about what your mom was going through?
What about what we was going through? We was going through it with her. Like, what you mean? No, I didn't think about that. I'm worried about my brothers and sisters and I and what.
No, I understand that. And I don't mean to take away from what it is you went through or you're going through, but for people to abuse substances in the case that your mom was, there had to be something going on with her personally, emotionally,
my mom
physically.
Dealt with a lot of trauma. She was disowned from her family at a really young age. Her brothers used to torture her with Barbie dolls. She was deathly afraid of Barbie dolls because they used to take the heads off, burn them, and give it to her in presents for Christmas. And so she had a lot of trauma. And then with my dad, she was subjected to a lot. You know, he'll beat her up or whatever. And it just every relationship that she had been in was abusive in one way or another, you know?
So when you say that there's a pattern and a history of abuse, so that leads me to just think that that's all she knew. So maybe she really didn't connect the dots on how to nurture and be the mom that you felt like she needed to be, or the mom that Peggy
and that's the thing,
made a choice to be.
She was a good mom, like when she was there.
She was there,
yeah, she loved us so much. No one loved us more. I know that in my heart. I'm a little bit mad that she gave up on us in the end. But
you think she gave up on you?
She said she literally said, I've done my job. You guys are all grown now. Like, she gave up on us.
Were you grown when that happened?
No, my youngest sister was still in high school.
Okay.
She was living with my other sister because my mom just gave up, you know? She said she gave up, but she told us that she was protecting us because the guy said he was going to kill us. So she had to disown us, is what she told us.
And that's a real thing. Did you ever think about it? Was it the same guy that murdered her?
Mm-hmm.
So could you imagine if you were in that household with him? That could have been you plus all of your siblings that lived there, right? That's what your mouth says now. But realistically, like when you think about it, she did save your life. And she told you that's what she was doing. But you still, I mean, I get that you're angry, but that's a real thing that you need to consider when you think about that situation.
I just don't she had so many chances to walk away, you know, and we pleaded with her and, you know, I tried to give her all the resources.
It's not that easy
But it's easy to give up on your kids, though. That's easy.
If she thought she was saving your life, which she did, I think when you think of the latter of it, it is. I don't want to, go against you or not take into consideration your feelings, but I do want you to just think about what your mom was in that moment.
Yeah,
and what potentially could have happened had she kept you guys with her in that situation.
We were not with her at the time. All of my brothers and sisters moved out at a fairly young age. So I was with my boyfriend, my sister was with her boyfriend, my brother was with his girlfriend, and my other sister was with her friend. Like, nobody lived with my mom because nobody wanted to be in that environment. It was always dirty. That's why now to this day, like all my brothers and sisters, we have to have a clean house with no dishes in the sink. because
so she taught you some things. Mothers are great.
Indirectly, you don't want to be like that, or you don't want to live like that. So you like, even down to relationships, like you're not going to let nobody abuse you, or
she showed you a great example of what not to do.
Yeah.
So parents ultimately, whether they are present physically and nurturing the way that we want them to be or not, they give us the tools, sort of to speak, that we need, because she showed you exactly what not to do, and now you know that. With that being said, you still use drugs.
Yeah.
And she showed you not to do that.
She didn't show me not to do that. She showed me not
to.
So
she showed you a way to use drugs.
Well, no.
Not end up in that situation.
I just don't use hard drugs.
Hard drugs.
Yeah.
Okay.
I use natural drugs.
Well, it is a plant, you know. It grows from the ground.
They all start as a plant.
Not all of them.
I mean, if you talk about synthetic drugs.
Yeah, that's bad.
That's bad. Yeah.
Yeah, I only do the natural ones that start from the plant.
Oh. So you use coke? You use dope?
No, but I have used coke, but I do not use coke.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's my time? Oh, wow. That was so... See, I told you those 30 minutes, they go by so fast. Parting words, Penny. What would you like for the people to know that's coming out here, that are mothers, fathers, have children at home, thinking about using?
I would just say, to the kids, love your mom, because you never know when's the last time you're going to see her, Right. And to the parents, I would just say, pay attention to your kids, because sometimes you're affecting them and you don't even know it. So to just keep your eyes open.
Got tissue? No.
I'm okay. Yeah, that's all.
Thank you, Penny. Mm-hmm. Peggy. Mom. Grandmother.
Well, I think that my parting words would be, take everything in moderation. Know where your lines are drawn.
Yeah.
And if you do feel like letting go and just, partying up a storm, and you're going to be incapacitated for a day or two, go somewhere without your kids. Go somewhere where you don't have responsibilities and obligations, and then party hardy. But when you're in your job and you're with your kids and you're, expected to function well, then don't do it.
Right.
Pick your battles.
Penny, can you come here, honey? Okay, come here. I need my headphones. That's why I didn't get up. I'm sorry. No.
Are we done?
No, not just quite. I'm gonna do my clothes. You can take yours off. I just want to give you some love, because I know this was a lot, and I totally threw her on the spot.
Aww.
And I knew this was a lot, but I felt like you needed this. But with my Penny here, I just want to say thank you, butterflies, emerging butterflies. Growth comes from these conversations, right? Growth. We need these uncomfortable conversations. Listen, share. And I'll see you next Thursday right here on Vegas Hype Media. Uncomfortable Conversations. Thank you guys so much. You can say bye. Tell the butterflies. Thank you, Peggy. Thank you, my Penny. I love you.